Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make the graphs in Google Sheets today. I've got my data set open, so you're going to want your data set open as well. And I'm going to show you how to make this graph that's up on the screen right now. So in the actual handout, what it asks you to do is it asks you to graph the data for the averages of body mass, wing length, tarsus length, and beak depth, and then they give you an example right here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to put this information into Google Sheets and create the graph that looks just like this, and I'll help kind of explain things along the way as well. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new sheet right now. We're going to use the actual values um, that we calculated. So I'm going to open a new sheet. Now, when you make a one of your bar graphs here, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to think about what data you're actually putting into your bar graph. So in our case, we're putting in data from non-survivors versus survivors. So I'm going to put that into, this would be A1, so cell A1. Okay. Now I'm going to put the non-survivors data in here, and I'm going to put the survivors data in here. So we're just going to use body mass first. So this is how I set things up, and you'll see why that's important in just a second. Okay. All right. So the non-survivors, I want to do the average body mass of a non-survivor. So it was 15.71. For the survivors, it was 16.99. So I've got basically a label here for the graph that I'm making, and then I've got my data here. You don't want to put grams in here or grams in here. This just has to be a number, and you'll see why you need to do that as well in just a second. Okay, so I've got my data in. Now I'm going to go ahead and highlight all of this data. Notice that I have to highlight this empty cell down here at the bottom as well. When I've highlighted that, I'm going to go to Insert. I'm going to go to Chart. Now it's not going to give me what I want right away. I want to make a bar graph. Okay, so if I hit Chart Type, and then I've got some suggested examples. I've got a whole bunch of other examples I could use as well. Now they call this one a column chart because in the bar graphs or the bar charts, they have those going sideways. I don't really want mine to go sideways or horizontally. I want mine to go vertically. So I'm just going to choose this one right here, this column chart. All right. Now, one of the things that we don't want is we don't want these to be the same color. So I'm going to go over here to Customize. I'm going to go ahead and go to Series. Let's see. Actually, is this going to... Oh, no, it's just right here. So never mind that. Just stay here. So we started here. I'm going to go ahead and go to this chart type. And now I want to go down here, and where this is checked, where it says switch rows and columns, I'm going to uncheck that. All right. So you can already see kind of what's happened here. So when I do that, these change color. That's good. That's what I want. I've got a legend up here now. This is my non-survivors data. This is my survivors data. And now my x-axis is also labeled. I could go in here and change the x-axis if I wanted to. I don't need to do that right now, so I'm not really going to worry about that. So you want to make sure that this right here is unchecked. Okay. Now there's nothing else I need to do here. So I'm going to go to Customize now. Chart Style. I don't need to do anything here. Chart and Axis Titles. This is something that I could do. So I've already got a title here. Over here on this side, I know that we were talking about grams, so I'm going to go to the vertical axis, and I'm going to put a title in there. So this is body mass in grams. I hit enter, and now I've got body mass in grams. It also would make sense to give a chart title as well. So I'm going to give this a title. This is going to be mean body mass of non-survivors and survivors. You could make that mean body mass of non-surviving finches and surviving finches, whatever. I'm just going to do it like this. If I hit this right here, I can align this and center it so it looks a little bit nicer as well. Okay, so I've got a title, I've got an x-axis label, I've got a y-axis or vertical axis label, and I've got my data input here. So I don't need to do anything else for right now with my chart and axis titles. You're obviously welcome to mess with that as much as you want, different colors, all that kind of stuff. That's totally fine. All right. The next thing that I have an opportunity to do is my series. And this part is important. So I'm going to click on series, and these are my options basically. Okay. So I want to add in something, and I want to add in error bars. So what it asks me to do is, it says label both axes of each graph and show either the standard error of the mean or the 95% confidence intervals as error bars. So what I want you guys to do is actually use the 95% confidence intervals. So how are you going to do that? Well, when you're here in series, you can see that there's something here that's called error bars. I'm going to go ahead and check that really quick. All right. Now, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and click on this. I'm going to hit constant, and then I'm going to come up here, and where it says apply to all series, I'm just going to choose non-survivors first. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to type in the value. So if I think back to what my 95% confidence interval was for the non-survivors, I can go back to my raw data, and I know that my 95% confidence interval was basically, it was 0.38. So it's 0.38. So I'm actually going to use this value in my chart. So I'm going to go back here, back to series, and I'm going to put in my constant for the non-survivors is going to be 0.38. I'm going to hit enter. So you can see right there, it's really hard to see, but there's a little error bar in there. Okay. Now I'm going to go up here again. I'm going to click on survivors. I'm going to do a constant again. And now I'm going to put in the 95% confidence interval for this, which was 0.5. I'm going to hit enter. And right here, I've got another error bar. So I can put in the 95% confidence intervals straight into my graph by using it as a constant value. That means I'm inputting the value. Okay. All right. Now there's one other thing you can do here. I'm going to go back to non-survivors. I'm going to give it a data label. So you can see it gives a label. This is my average body mass. I'm going to go ahead and use that. And then it's got a bunch of options. So the one that I'm going to use is position, and I'm going to put outside end. So it takes it out of the bar. I can see my error bar, and it gives me the label for what the average actually is. I'm going to do the same thing for the survivors. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to do a data label, and I'm going to position it outside the end. There's my average body mass now for the survivors. So this graph now, if we look at the original graph, you can see that it looks exactly the same. So mean body mass, non-survivors and survivors. Mean body mass, non-survivors and survivors. I've got my error bars, my averages, my axes labeled. You'll see that there's no difference whatsoever between these two other than this capitalized letter, but whatever, between these two charts. So that one I did for you with body mass. What I want you to try to do is do the same thing. Try to get that one for body mass done. You've got that as an example. Try to make it for wing length, tarsus length, and now beak depth. So go ahead and try those 4. And then the next video I upload, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through number 6 and this idea of a t-test. And then you'll basically be done. If you have questions, again, please make sure that you send me an email. Happy to answer your emails, answer any questions you might have, and I hope that you found that helpful.